Well, hello everyone, and welcome to your US IEEPA tariff refund process webinar. Wow, what a long name. It is great that you are with us, and if you are live, thank you very much for joining us. If you're watching us on demand, so after we've recorded this, you are very welcome. Of course, thank you for checking in. We have some great slides prepared for you to talk you through the US IEEPA tariff refund process and how US importers can claim back a lot of money. So congratulations, we're getting money back. This is set to be a 1 hour training for trade and customs professionals, not only in the US, but also in other parts of the world. Anybody affected by IEEPA tariffs and wants the money back is gonna be interested in this one. Okay, so let me introduce myself first. My name is Arnie Mielken. I am the Managing Director of Customs Manager USA. We are a sister company of Customs Manager Limited. Customs Manager Limited is the UK-based company, and Customs Manager USA is the US branch of Customs Manager Limited. And we have offices in 61 Broadway in New York. And we're also serving Washington. We're serving the South. We're serving the North, the West, the East, all around the U.S. We work with customs brokers in the U.S. to help you on things that only customs brokers can do on customs business. And we also support non-EU, non-US businesses in the EU and the UK that have dealings with the US, for example, exporters that send goods to the US, and then they get stuck with the responsibilities of importing as importer of record into the US, but they are really not that familiar with the US process. So it's important that not only do we clarify how this works for the US and for US importers, but also the non-US exporters, they also need to know what's going on because sometimes the brokers rely on information from their customer, and their customer is not in the US, is in say Germany, or is in the UK or in Ireland or wherever in the world. So if you are going to deal with the US, whether it's as an importer or whether it's as a broker or whether it is as a exporter sending goods to the US on a DDP basis and then acting in essence as importer of record, you all need to know about US customs. Whether there is a President Trump in the White House or any other president. Now, quite obviously, the situation is more fluid since President Trump took office, and this resulted in many tariff changes, as you are fully aware. And these changes are continuing, and that causes more interest by many businesses in the US, but also outside the US, in understanding how CBP works, how the customs process works, how CSMS are read, how presidential proclamations read, how annexes are read, and how you deal with the US HTS US, Chapter 99, etc., etc. And one particular topic that is super important is, of course, the US IEEPA tariff refund process, because obviously we're now due money back. And the question is, how do we get 1 year worth of billions of dollars back in a way that is efficient and effective and is managed in the right way? This is what we're talking about today. And we will be going back a little bit to the Supreme Court ruling of the 20th of February. And then I'll tell you about CAPE. And as you know, it says here in development, but of course, we know that from the 20th of April, this is already in force. And so we will look at that in more detail. Now, this is a 1 hour webinar, more or less, a little bit less to give some time for questions for the live audience. And if you have some questions that you want to ask, but you're watching this on demand, then please do me a favor and put that into the comments below, and I'll pick that up. So if you're watching this on YouTube, then please just use the comment function. Otherwise, you can email me your questions, and I'll be happy to respond. Now, my company is offering 4 services, consultancy, also anything to do with US tariffs, refund opportunities, understanding metal tariffs, understanding any other tariffs, pharmaceuticals coming up. So consultancy, and we offer a 1 hour free consultation, no charge, just 1 hour, you and me, and we will discuss whatever is on your mind. We offer US training, a wide range of training on extra additional duties, but also on USMCA, valuation rules, tariff classification, but also we even run the whole customs brokerage exam for US companies, but also for non-US companies. So even if we cannot be certified brokers, many companies, even outside the US, are interested in having a broker exam, passing a broker exam, in order to understand deeply how the US works customs-wise. And so we facilitate customs broker exams for US brokers, but also for non-US companies and interested parties. Um, so on we go. Here is what we're going to talk about. So we have quite a few topics within our main broad topic. First of all, we need to give a bit of background and context. What's IEEPA? How is IEEPA? And what were the tariffs that were imposed in 2025? Then we'll go to the Supreme Court ruling on the 20th of February 2026, decision, what was ruled and why. Then we'll go to which tariffs and entries are eligible. We'll talk about fentanyl, reciprocal, China tariffs, and the eligibility. So we need to understand if we want to reclaim duty, we need to understand what is the duty that is actually reclaimable, correct? So then we will look at two refund tracks that are traditionally available. And I will caveat that by saying these are not the refund tracks that we are doing for IEEPA refunds. So I shouldn't really talk about them because they are more confusing than anything else. But I will because they are part and parcel of the US system. We are in an extraordinary situation with the IEEPA tariff refunds. For this situation, we have a special system, which is the CAPE system, as you know. If we wouldn't have the CAPE system, we would have these two tracks as refund options available to us. Now, we are specifically forbidden to use PSC and prioritize the CAPE system as the only alternative. Okay, so I want to make this clear. But in normal circumstances, we would have PSC and protest, and we need to understand how it would look under normal circumstances, and this is still de facto available to us. However, even though we're using the CAPE system. Then we're looking at the ACE portal and the ACH setup, the registration requirements that we need, the documents and calculations we need to understand what we need, what documents do we need, what calculations need to be performed. And then there is an action plan and, of course, your Q&A, your questions. So that's the setup. I hope that's interesting for you. Let's go.